Welcome back. Fun fact for everybody listening, other than this last weekend, Tyler's just been sitting on his couch and hasn't moved and just been consuming an inordinate amount of hot dogs and beer while watching every second of baseball playoffs. Tyler, why don't you tell us all about it?
It's been fantastic. It was either Wednesday or Thursday, there was 8 playoff games, which is the most we've ever had in baseball, which this crazy wild card round. Woke up at 9 a.m., got a cup of coffee, drinking that. Middle of the day, had a kombucha, finished it off with a beer towards the end of the day. It was fantastic.
Also, so many hot dogs. So many hot dogs, exactly.
So, I've been baseball central. We had 2 days without baseball over the weekend, so that was a little lame, but we picked things back up yesterday, and we're back in the full swing of things today. It's been awesome. So, real quick recap from the wild card round. Super crazy. First time in history that we've had this 16-team tournament, best of 3 first round. Only 2 series went to game 3. The A's and the White Sox. A's came up victorious in that one. The Padres and Cardinals went to game 3. Padres won that one. All the rest of them were 2-game sweeps. An interesting fact, 7 teams from both the AL Central and the NL Central made the postseason. All of them lost in the first round. So there are no more Central Division teams left, all East and West Coast teams. Of all the performances in the first round, the one that I think surprised me the most was the Minnesota Twins. They were horrible. That was probably one of the worst performances I've seen in a postseason from a team that's that good. They literally ran, fielded, pitched, and hit their way out of the postseason against the Astros. Horrible performance by the Twins. You got to feel shitty if you're a Twins fan right now. Also, you let the Astros move on. Like, what are you guys doing?
Traden's take was so off, by the way.
Yeah, just a little bit. We'll get into more of that in a minute. We ended up with all interdivision matchups for the division series, which is super cool. A lot of history between all the teams that are playing right now, so that's a really interesting part of it. And we're now entering the bubble for MLB playoffs. 4 bubbles currently right now. And all the opposing teams, which have some bad blood with each other, are all staying in the same hotel. So it's a little interesting. So moving on. So who we got right now? We're going to start off in the American League, the division series, best of 5 round. We have the Oakland A's and the Houston Astros squaring off at Dodger Stadium. The A's won 7 of 5 during the regular season. Currently, this series is 2-0 Astros. The Astros won again today. It kind of looks like they have their mojo back, which is a little scary. But James, I'm going to throw it to you first. The A's are down 2-0. All season long, they've kind of shown that they'll be able to come back in games, but can they come back and win 3 straight against the Houston Astros to win this series?
That's going to be a tough one, man. Big time tough one. Their bullpen, which is an elite bullpen, really needs to step up right now, and they got to figure out a way to stop George Springer. That dude's been going off the last 2 games. He had 2 home runs this last game? Something crazy like that. Mm-hmm. They got to limit the amount of runs scored overall. They've given up 10 runs and 5 runs for a team that normally gives up 3.7 per game. And right now, there's typically they outscore teams. That's why they have a winning record, obviously. But it's not working right now, and they got to figure that out. I think this is where you really, really miss Matt Chapman in this point right now, because that leadership isn't there. They have nobody to bring him out of the slumps, and they need to figure out a way to do that now. So they got to rely on some of the vets, and they got to do it quick.
100%. Traden, you last week on the podcast, you said the Astros really had no shot at beating the Twins. Here they are, up 2-0 against the Astros. I mean, I know no one on this podcast likes the Astros, which is good, but looking at this Astros team right now, it looks like they're playing super hot. George Springer is leading that team on offense. Is there any way that they collapse and lose this series, or do you see them moving on to the championship series?
No, I mean, I'd be pretty shocked if they dropped, I guess they have to drop the next 3? It's best of 5. So, I mean, I just don't see that. I mean, you look at the way the Astros have played. I mean, they dominated the bullpen dominated game 1, which is actually kind of weird because it actually made up for their starting pitcher's pretty poor performance. And they were middle of the pack during the regular season. So if you can dominate, if you can have your bullpen dominate a game and steal, like, I mean, you could say they stole that game, and then they just continue on to win game two. I don't know how you can. I don't know how they can stop. I don't know how they can get beat. Yeah, maybe they'll lose game three, but I just don't think that they'll be able to give up 3 games. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot because we obviously know reason why myself and a lot of you guys here do not like the Astros at all. And the fact that they're playing at Dodger Stadium and might win another playoff series at Dodger Stadium hurts us Dodger fans even more. It's just salt on the wound right now. But yeah, I don't see the Astros losing 3 straight the way they're playing. They haven't lost a game yet so far. And like you said, Traden, their bullpen is stepping up. Their starting pitching hasn't really gone deep into games. And their bullpen, which we mentioned last week, which we thought was going to be their weakness, has been their ultimate strength so far. And George Springer is being George Springer, which is a really, really scary thing for opposing pitchers. So unfortunately, I'm seeing the Astros moving on to the championship series. Who will they play? So the other team, the other matchup going on right now in San Diego is the Tampa Bay Rays against the New York Yankees. Currently, the Yankees are up 1-0. They're playing right now. They're in the bottom of the 7th. The Rays are up 7-4 in that game. So hopefully the Rays will tie that series up. This, to me, is the biggest coin flip of any of the series in the division round. I had a really difficult time kind of making my pick on who's going to win this series. Another great series with a lot of history. Earlier this year, there were beanballs being thrown. The Rays manager called out the Yankees manager, saying that Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager, was just a poor manager, teaching him just really dirty tactics. This is a classic, David and Goliath type of matchup. Tampa Bay Rays, a really small market team, against the, New York Yankees, which everyone knows is one of the, most historic franchises in all of sports. The New York payroll 3 times larger than Tampa Bay. So it's a great matchup here. Interdivision. A lot of people had the Yankees as the preseason favorites to win the World Series. The Rays completely dominated. They won 8 of 10 regular season matchups against the Yankees. So, Alex, I want to ask you, you picked the Rays to win the division, which they did. So I think you were kind of seeing this team as a contender all season long from the beginning. So they're down 1-0, but they're up in this game right now. Do you see them taking the series from the Yankees?
For the Rays, it all comes down to if they can shorten the games. So they have the big 3-headed monster of Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, and Charlie Morton. And then that bullpen is probably the best bullpen in baseball. Everyone in there throws like 95 plus. They all have crazy movement. It all comes down to, can they shorten the games to get it, pretty much they just need 5 innings out of their starters and their bullpen can do the rest, and then just keeping the Yankees in the yard. When Yankees hit homers, they typically win games. If they can keep them in the park, Petco has kind of changed. It's not that hitter-friendly or a pitcher-friendly park it used to be. It's a little more 50-50 now. So I can definitely see the Rays coming back and, possibly winning tonight and then winning all the way through. Just as a reminder, there's no off days in between any of these games. And I think that helps teams that have deep pitching staffs because they can rotate through their guys a little bit easier than teams that are maybe a little more, struggling with their depth on that pitching side.
For sure. And as far as the Yankees are concerned, they're coming in swinging super hot. They hit a ton of home runs against the Indians in the first round, and they kind of continued that in last night's game 1. Giancarlo Stanton has now 4 home runs this postseason. So 5. Thank you, Alex. And he's just absolutely murdering baseballs. The last one he hit went like 460 feet, it was unbelievable. So Eric, Yankees took game 1 of a Garrett Cole pitch game. After that, I think their pitching lacks a little bit against this Rays staff. But do you see the Yankees moving on to the championship series?
I think they pull it off, but I think it goes the full distance in this series. I think it's going to be a back and forth battle. Ever since you gave them that TLDR bump, they're just swinging the bats.
Yeah.
Garrett, you mentioned Garrett Cole. They pay this guy a 9-year, $324 million contract, so he needs to do well. In other words, I think he will. Usually that guy shows up in the playoffs. guys like Aaron Judge, Voit, and LeMahieu. That guy, since I'm a biased Angels fan, he reminds me of like a David Fletcher or just a leadoff hitter that always gets the rally started for them, and he seemed to do that last night. And Mike Stanton, Giancarlo Stanton, whatever you want to call him, the guy is slugging balls right now out of the park. Hit a grand slam in the 9th inning last night. Hit another one today. They're currently losing right now, but they're within a close distance. I think they're losing 7-4. The bats can be dangerous with these Yankees. The Rays pitchers on the other side, they're pretty solid. It's going to be a straight duel of that. But how weird is it being in like the same hotel? Like didn't Chapman like throw at some guy's head this year on the Rays?
Yeah, and
you're walking down the hall to get milk for your Fruit Loops or something, and you just Chapman walking by last now or whoever. It's just
that's got to be a super weird moment. I think during the game, all these teams are very focused on winning. But obviously, you're at the hotel, you run into the guy that threw your head. Like, what do you even do in that situation? It's a very – I would love for them to have just cameras set up in the hotel rooms, and it'd be like Big Brother type of action. We can just check in on what's going on. That'd be great. But, yeah, as far as this series goes, the Rays got to win this game. They're up by 3 runs. Their bullpen's pretty solid. So, but like you said, this Yankees lineup right now is mashing. So they can break out at any inning at any moment against any pitcher. So hopefully the Rays close out this game 2. And if they do, I think they will go on to win this series. All right, moving on to the National League. We have our NL East matchup here between the Marlins and Braves. The Braves won game 1 this morning, kind of a little comeback win today. So they're leading the series 1-0. The Braves won 6 out of 10 regular season matchups this season, and this team's got some bad blood going on too. Kind of throwing it back a little bit to 2 years ago. The main culprit on this Braves team that's been getting a lot of shit is Ronald Acuna Jr. 2 years ago against the Marlins, he was coming in super hot. He had 8 home runs the last 8 games, hit 2 home runs against them the night before. Then he got beamed. Led to 2 bench clearing brawls. Acuna got knocked out of the game because of the injury. So it created a lot of bad blood with those teams 2 years ago. Going into this season, the same pitcher that hit Acuna 2 years ago hit him again. So that created a little bit more scuffles. And then today in game 1, Acuna got hit again today after hitting a leadoff home run. So in his second at bat, he got beamed again, which had there's a little bit of a stare down. There wasn't a whole like bench clearing incident, but there's definitely some words being said, some kind of bad blood boiling. The pitcher who had thrown the ball after the game mentioned that if Acuna wants to fight, that he'll fight. So there's clearly some tension between these two teams. For me, the Braves are a better team on paper. But as we mentioned before, the Marlins have never lost a playoff series in their history, and they continue that streak. I think this will be a closer series than I think some people think. But throwing it to Eric, why do you think the Marlins will come back and win this series after losing game 1 today?
Well, I think you kind of gave them a TLDR bump when we first went over baseball this year, when you just said how bad they're going to be. They just ended up proving you wrong, being a solid team all season. I have this written down as if it was yesterday, so they would be coming off of 4 days of rest. But they aren't anymore. This pitcher, Sixto Sanchez, he did pitch his dick off in that first series against the Red. Who the fuck? Whoever they fucking played.
Cubs.
What? Cubs. 6 strikeouts, only allowed 4 hits. But I said it on the last podcast. The Marlins are 2 for 2 of winning World Series titles. They're only 2 times making the playoffs. The third time's a charm, even though they've already done it twice. And they've been scoring 4.5 runs per game this season. I hopefully think that's just enough to get by the Braves, but it didn't seem to be the case today.
For sure. James, why do you see the Braves taking this series?
Well, first off, I just wanted to say that I'm pretty sure Ronald Acuna Jr. will beat the shit out of Sandy Alcantara, whatever the guy's name is. Ronald Acuna's a dog. He'll beat anybody in a fight unless you're Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor. He'll probably lose to those 2. Secondly, they need to do well for the city of Atlanta. The Falcons suck. They're a terrible team. So for the city of Atlanta, for the pride of Atlanta, they got to do well. And I mean, honestly, the offense of the Braves is ridiculous, man. They have a stacked lineup from head to toe. Uh, their catcher just hit a bomb today. Travis Darnod, I think his name is. Oh no, there we go. There's a D in there somewhere. As you can tell, I watch a lot of baseball.
That's a tricky one.
But other than that, looking at stats though, like they had the highest OPS during the season. They had the second highest home runs against the behind the Dodgers. They had the second amount of runs scored behind the Dodgers. They're an offensive team, and I think that'll take them pretty far. And I mean, just as long as their pitching keeps up. Didn't look too good today. Their starting pitcher, Fried, had 70 pitches in the fourth inning or so. He got pulled after that. But, I mean, if you just sit back, relax, just throw some pitches, get some outs, and then rely on Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna, Marcell Ozuna, like, you're solid, man. You're chilling.
Yeah, this Braves team is just all out a better team. I didn't think the Marlins would make it past the Cubs, but, I mean, the Cubs compared to the Braves are nothing like the Braves. The Cubs are, getting a little bit up there in age. They were just underperforming all season. This Braves team is younger. It's way more talented up and down, pitching and hitting. For me, in a 5-game series, I don't see any way that Miami is going to move on. But like I said, I've counted them out all year long, not even making the playoffs, and they're here in the division series. So we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to the final division series matchup. We got the Padres and Dodgers. An NL West matchup for the ages taking place in Arlington, Texas. The Dodgers won 6 of 10 during the regular season. This team also has a little bit of chirping and bad blood, not quite as crazy as some of the other matchups here. But Trent Grisham earlier in the season hit a home run off Clayton Kershaw to tie the game late. As he was riding third base, was barking at the Dodgers dugout. Dodgers dugout barked back. There's been a couple little words spilling between Tatis and Dodgers players as well this season. So there's definitely a little bit here. Also, Dodgers fans and Padres fans hate each other. We are not friends. Dodger fans like to call Petco Park Dodger Stadium South because most of the time when the Dodgers are playing there's more Dodger fans than Padres fans. But the Padres, hey, they're a really good team this year. They deserve to be in this division series right now. It should be a great series we're going to look at here. So Traden, you've been hyped on that Padres bandwagon all season. Fernando Tatis is your guy. He had a few huge home runs in that wild card round, bat flipping and everything. Super exciting player. This team's a little banged up with starting pitching. Clevenger exited the game today after only an inning and a third. So do you still see the Padres taking this series from the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Honestly, I would bet yes. And here's why. I think that, I was going to talk about how, having Mike Clevenger back is going to be a game changer. It really hadn't been. That was a little early, right?
Yeah.
But as of right now, I mean, they're up 1-0, so that's good. So you didn't give up any runs yet, which is a good thing always. I look at the stats, and this season against righties, Padres ranked 5th with a .347 OBA, and ranked 11th against lefties. So I mean, they're not fantastic, but they are. But they did lead the MLB with 55 stolen bases. So obviously they boast power, they boast speed. That's something that they kind of hang their hats on, I guess. And I think that explosive Padres offense is going to be what they need to beat the Dodgers. Now, with that said, they were the second best offensive team in the league behind the team that they're playing. So it's tough to say that they're going to be able to offend their team or their opponent. But I would say they have a more than capable bullpen. I think they have a potential for an upset. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's going to be for sure, but I think that there's a bigger potential of an upset than, if you were playing any other team.
For sure. Alex, my fellow Dodger fan on this podcast, every year, Alex and I, for postseason for Dodgers, we drink the same beer for all postseason games. This year we decided on Sierra Nevada. So we're both drinking it right now during this game 1 matchup. We're drinking it for the wild card series. So Alex, I gave you the Dodgers. Down 1-0 right now, but it's early. It's only the 4th inning, game 1 here. Why are the Dodgers going to beat the Padres in the series?
Yeah, so first off, Sierra Nevada, not a sponsor, but feel free to be if you would like to.
Yep.
We will definitely not say no to that.
Yep.
Trade-in, the Padres offense is very good, but, you look at run differential, the Dodgers are better. You look at home runs, the Dodgers are better. And then you switch to the pitching side. Dodgers had the best ERA in baseball. They had the best whip in baseball, had the best opponent average in baseball. They're the first team since like a 40s Cardinals team to lead the league in homers and ERA. They're the first team since the 1924 Pirates to have a 700-plus winning percentage. The Dodgers are dirty, but I am very scared of the Padres. They are a very good team. They're very talented. Tatis, right, traded? Bringing that back to episode whatever that was. They are very good. I do think the Dodgers' depth is going to be kind of what changes the series here, especially with that Clev injury. Dinelson Lamet is also not on the roster. If a Dodgers starter has kind of an off day, they have other pitchers that they can throw to kind of fill in some of those middle innings. And I'm already really worried about the Padres. They had to use 9 different pitchers in that game 3 win against the Cardinals. And now, Clev only goes one plus inning. They're going to have to use that bullpen up and just, again, with no rest between, no off days, there's going to be a lot. It's all about the depth. And I think the Dodgers' depth will ultimately prevail in this series. It is kind of a bummer that the way the bracket worked out, that these guys are only going to play a 5-game series. Because they were obviously the 2 best teams in the National League, and I think everyone would have loved to see them play in a 7-game series. But I just think the overall depth, one of those guys, Mookie, Cody, Max, JT, Will Smith, Corey Seager, can just carry the team. And that top like 4 guys for the Padres is really good, but then it does kind of fall off a little bit. But this is easily, I think, the most exciting series of the DSs for sure.
Yeah, and one more thing. Everybody on this podcast knows that the Dodgers will choke. Why not just choke now and then it's over? Then you can get it over.
That is true. I did say to someone earlier today, I'm ready for them to hurt me again, okay?
Save money on beer and you're not crying as much.
Ready. I'm all prepared. We do have Vintage Kirsch. That was a 13 strikeout game. He looks real good.
He does.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Dodgers choking the playoffs is definitely a common theme. It's 2020 though, and a lot of things that were common are no longer common anymore. So I'm hoping that continues with the Dodgers as well. Alex, I agree with you. I would love to see these 2 teams play in a 7-game series. But I think we're all hoping that they would face off at some point this season. They were both playing super great, so it should be a super exciting, super great series. So that concludes the division series update here for Major League Baseball. We'll probably have all these series wrapped up by the next time we do our next podcast, so we'll know who the final 4 teams are. Hopefully the Dodgers are one of them. Let's go Dodgers. James, that's all I got.
Thank you for that, Tyler. Informative as always.